Chapter 11. The Fractured Family. The flood of novelty about to crash down upon us will spread from universities and research centres to factories and offices, from the marketplace and mass media into our social relationships, from the community into the home. Penetrating deep into our private lives, it will place absolutely unprecedented strains on the family itself. The family has been called the giant shock absorber of society, the place to which the bruised and battered individual returns after doing battle with the world, the one stable point in an increasingly flux-filled environment. As the super-industrial revolution unfolds, this shock absorber will come in for some shocks of its own. Social critics have a field day speculating about the family. The family is near the point of complete extinction, says Ferdinand Lundberg, author of The Coming World Transformation. The family is dead except for the first year or two of child raising, according to psychoanalyst William Wolfe. This will be its only function. Pessimists tell us the family is racing towards oblivion, but seldom tell us what will take its place. Family optimists, in contrast, contend that the family, having existed all this time, will continue to exist. Some go so far as to argue that the family is in for a golden age. As leisure spreads, they theorise, families will spend more time together and will derive great satisfaction from joint activity. The family that plays together, stays together, etc. A more sophisticated view holds that the very turbulence of tomorrow will drive people deeper into their families. People will marry for stable structure, says Erwin M. Greenberg, Professor of Psychiatry at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine. According to this view, the family serves as one's portable roots, anchoring one against the storm of change. In short, the more transient and novel the environment, the more important the family will become. It may be that both sides in this debate are wrong, for the future is more open than it might appear. The family may neither vanish nor enter upon a golden age. It may, and this is far more likely, break up, shatter, only to come together again in weird and novel ways. The Mystique of Motherhood. The most obviously upsetting force likely to strike the family in the decades immediately ahead will be the impact of the new birth technology. The ability to preset the sex of one's baby, or even to program its IQ, looks and personality traits, must now be regarded as a real possibility. Embryo implants, babies grown in vitro, the ability to swallow a pill and guarantee oneself twins or triplets, or even more, the ability to walk into a babytorium and actually purchase embryos. All this reaches so far beyond any previous human experience that one needs to look at the future through the eyes of the poet or painter, rather than those of the sociologist or conventional philosopher. It is regarded as somehow unscholarly, even frivolous, to discuss these matters. Yet advances in science and technology, or in reproductive biology alone, could, within a short time, smash all orthodox ideas about the family and its responsibilities. When babies can be grown in a laboratory jar, what happens to the very notion of maternity? And what happens to the self-image of the female in societies which, since the very beginnings of man, have taught her that her primary mission is the propagation of and nurture of the race? Few social scientists have begun as yet to concern themselves with such questions. One who has is psychiatrist Hyman G. Weitzen, Weitzen, Director of Neuropsychiatric Service at Polyclinic Hospital in New York. The cycle of birth, Dr. Weitzen suggests, fulfills for most women a major creative need. Most women are proud of their ability to bear children. The special aura that glorifies the pregnant woman has figured largely in the art and literature of both East and West. What happens to the cult of motherhood, Weitzen asks, if her offspring might literally not be hers, but that of a genetically superior ovum, implanted in her womb from another woman or even grown in a petri dish? If women are to be important at all, he suggests, it will no longer be because they alone can bear children. If nothing else, we are about to kill off the mystique of motherhood. Not merely motherhood, but the concept of parenthood itself may be in for radical revision. Indeed, the day may soon dawn when it is possible for a child to have more than two biological parents. Dr. Beatrice Mintz, a developmental biologist at the Institute for Cancer Research in Philadelphia, has grown what are coming to be known as multi-mice. Baby mice, each of which has more than the usual number of parents. Embryos are taken from each of two pregnant mice. These embryos are placed in a laboratory dish and nurtured until they form a single growing mass. This is then implanted in the womb of a third female mouse. A baby is born that clearly shares the genetic characteristics of both sets of donors. Thus, a typical multi-mouse born of two pairs of parents has white fur and whiskers on one side of its face, dark fur and whiskers on the other, with alternating bands of white and dark hair covering the rest of the body. Some 700 multi-mice bred in this fashion have already produced more than 35,000 offspring themselves. If multi-mouse is here, can multi-man be far behind? Under such circumstances, what or who is a parent? When a woman bears in her uterus an embryo conceived in another woman's womb, who is the mother? And just exactly who is the father? If a couple can actually purchase an embryo, then parenthood becomes a legal, not a biological matter. Unless such transactions are tightly controlled, one can imagine such grotesqueries as a couple buying an embryo, raising it in vitro, then buying another in the name of the first, as though for a trust fund. In that case, they might be regarded as legal grandparents before their first child is out of its infancy. We shall need a whole new vocabulary to describe kinship ties. Furthermore, if embryos are for sale, can a corporation buy one? Can it buy 10,000? Can it resell them? And if not a corporation, how about a non-commercial research laboratory? If we buy and sell living embryos, are we back to a new form of slavery? Such are the nightmarish questions soon to be debated by us. To continue to think of the family, therefore, is in purely conventional terms, is to defy all reason. Faced by rapid social change and the staggering implications of the scientific revolution, super-industrial man may be forced to experiment with novel family forms. Innovative minorities can be expected to try out a colourful variety of family arrangements. They will begin by tinkering with existing forms.